is being organized under the MediHub Technology Business Incubator. Today's topic that we are chosen is that one which is very emerging, and especially in urban areas, urban and peri-urban areas, wherein which a lot of activity is going on the soilless cultures and hydroponics. So today we will be discussing opportunities for business development in soilless cultures, hydroponics in medicinal and aromatic plants. The main purpose of this event is to bring in the startups in the field of medicinal and aromatic plants. With me, my panelist, Dr. Kalail Vanan is there, scientist, ICR, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore, who will be talking on various aspects of soilless cultures and hydroponics for enterprise development in medicinal and aromatic plants, which will be followed by a talk on MediHub Technology Business Incubator for business incubation support and business development by Dr. Deepa Patel, Research Associate at MediHub TBI. And there will be an overview of ICR DMAPR and business opportunities in medicinal and aromatic plants by Dr. Satyajit Roy. So with this, which will be followed by a question answer session, wherein which we can ask, and we will be facilitating you to solve some of your doubts. With this brief introduction, now I invite Director Dr. Satyajit Roy for his opening remarks. Please, sir.
Friends, how many people are there total here?
There are around 50 participants are there, sir, now.
So can I know from which areas they are? Areas of interest?
They are all entrepreneurs in their field. There are some field from academia. There are some people who are doing business also. They have started their ventures, and yeah, yes, sir. The areas are, again, it is very wide areas. So we don't have any information on that.
Today's topic is mainly with hydroponics.
Mainly on soilless cultures and hydroponics. Soilless cultures.
Soilless cultures.
Yeah.
Anybody among them is doing something in it?
Yeah. So
any of the entrepreneurs here? Maybe for me, rather two semesters, I will be little interactive instead of giving straight my own views.
Okay.
Something.
Okay.
So if anybody is here.
So I request participants. Anybody is there? Can you unmute and share your?
Today's topic is mainly related to hydroponics.
Yeah.
So let it be focused little bit on that. And if anybody here is particularly on this topic or working on it, can they give a brief introduction?
Yeah, dear participants, anyone is working, kindly use chat box and let me know. So if somebody is working on hydroponics, can you write in the chat box? Okay.
Online webinar.
Yeah.
Because let me know a little bit about their interest, maybe in other crops if they are doing about it. Let me know about it.
Okay. Fine, sir. No information I received.
But the thing is, it is my viewpoint.
Yeah.
If the topic is related to this particularly, then I think unless.
Yeah, Shubhashri, you have anything? Shubhashri, kindly unmute and tell me.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
I've been in the field of terrace gardening, so I can. Since we are doing this in the urban area, so I'm interested in soilless form of growing medicinal plants, so that in a smaller area we can grow, we can produce more plants. So since we have a space constraint, I'm looking more. I'm interested in this. And already I am growing Kapi, Jalbrahmi, and like medicine, Tulsi, and plants for means aromatic plants for salads. So since I'm growing it in a pot, I can very well transfer it and apply this kind of technology to my soilless form of agriculture. So I'm interested.
Why it has come? Why it has come to your mind that it should be soilless?
Sir, since we have a space constraint, we don't have farmlands, and we whatever space we are having right now, I'm thinking of doing it.
Achha, madam, one thing in this particular question and particular interest, let me give my own viewpoints. First of all, there are two important techniques. One is hydroponics, another is aeroponics. Okay, so hydroponics is mainly in water, whatever you raise in water. So, but there is another system that is aeroponic system. You can go through the literature. You will be finding a lot of literature and lot of practical applications related to this. Especially, I'm telling of aeroponics. If I tell you about my own experience, not exactly experience, the way, because I was earlier in Potato, Central Potato Research Institute. The Central Potato Research Institute is having its headquarters at Shimla, and it has got 5 to 7 regional stations. So among the regional stations, apart from Shimla, other stations like Shillong, Patna, and Modipuram, Jalandhar, stations, they are engaged, actively engaged today, especially with aeroponic system. Now, I don't know how far aeroponic system will be useful in relation to medicinal and aromatic plants. Now, if I tell you about the aeroponic system, you can simply think. If you just simply I don't have the slide immediately with me. Otherwise, had I been coming prepared, I would have shown you the slides. So, if you think a table top, suppose table top wherever you're sitting, maybe 5 in area, maybe whatever it is. Maybe 5 feet into 6 feet table, whatever it is. And what is there? If you see in the tabletop, there will be holes. Holes at a particular distance, equivalent distance. And definitely the hole size may vary from small to bigger one. Now, what it is there in this system? We take the tissue culture plant, we harden them through hardening process after putting them in maybe in the tissue culture itself, in the tube itself, or those things. Then maybe any part of the plant, maybe especially for potato, potato is a vegetative propagation, and the potato is underground modification of a stem. Now, mostly what is there, the root system is at the down part and below ground, and the above ground part is above the which is the stem and the leaves, isn't it? So in case of potato, as it is underground, so it grows along with the roots. Now, what is there in aeroponic system? We have some regulatory system of giving nutrients that is in the form of mist, and the nutrients are mostly, we have a particular type of nutrients where maybe 5 minutes interval that mist is there, or maybe 30 minutes interval the mist is there. Maybe in the growth period the mist spray may be more, but latter part it may be lesser. Now we have a profuse growth that is in soilless system, like aeroponic I'm saying. Now for potato also we are going with it. And what is the significance of this system? Significance in the way, because when we grow potato in a vast area, maybe vast acreage in the fields and all, we need a vast acreage. So, but for potato, you have a particular season in the year, maybe Rabi season, maybe 4 to 5 months, starting from maybe from Gujarat and in other places, northern parts of the India, maybe October, November, and it goes up to March and all, 5 months crop. So if a crop is engaged in for 5 months or so in a particular field, but here what you can do under a simulated condition round the year, you can get the things, isn't it? So this is one advantage. When you need not to wait for a particular season like Rabi season to wait, because summer it is not possible. But in summer also potato is possible if you have a refrigerated condition, air conditioned condition like that. Now in this case, in case of medicinal plant, I think so. Wherever we have something root, where the root is important, maybe ashwagandha, maybe the root is important. Maybe Shatavari, the root is important. But how far that will be in relation to commercial importance, how far that will be feasible, economically feasible, that has to be taken into consideration. So this is one part. Even if you do, suppose for suppose ashwagandha in a small space, but how much it will be possible? Suppose if it is the roots only. Suppose in case of Shatavari, if it is the roots, means how much space in the little space, even if you do, how much it will cater to your need, maybe on commercial scale. Second, another part may be where you can raise as a multiplication material. Probably if you raise in the form of a multiplication material, probably that may be useful in a large scale. Because in a short period of time, even off-season period, but off-season period, even if you give it to the farmers, they are feasible in the field. So I think so, but all cost-benefit ratio, that has to be taken into consideration. How much it will be, how much is the area, which is the crop, which part will be most economic. Maybe the leaves or the herbage or the roots, even if you get it, and how much you can allow the plants to grow, at what time to harvest, at what time you leave the system like this, then at what time to recycle it and go with another new. These all will be the major issues. I probably, in case of hydroponics also it will come. Similarly, in the case of aeroponics also it will be done. Now, actually, it was my personal query rather. When the topic has been raised today like this, has any one of the entrepreneur is going with some other crop? Can he throw some light on it? This I want to know. Already, Madam Srinivasan, you have given something, but anybody else is there who can tell about it something? If having some experience on it. Dr. Reddy?
Yeah,
because the topic has been chosen today, like this. That means some interest has been shown by some entrepreneurs. That's why that topic has been chosen.
Yeah.
So, and why they are interested, or if they are interested in some other crops, what they have seen, why they have raised this interest. Only this part I want to know.
P.S. Naidu, can you comment on this? You are monitoring some of the hydroponic projects.
Where is Naidu?
Anyway, sir, we'll take it up, sir.
Okay.
We'll take it up later. So with this, sir, can I proceed with the presentation of that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
So I have given my own input.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for
your...
Hello? Jagadish. Okay. P.S. Naidu, sir, please go ahead, sir. Please.
Yeah. See, we are implementing a GAP project, a massive GAP project close to Hyderabad under the INDGAP scheme. They also propose to have these medicinal plants also. That is in the second phase.
Okay.
So this is the exposure which we are having, which will be perhaps one of the largest in the country. It is being scaled from 4 acres to 100 acres now. This is under what is hydroponics part. Then soilless under cocoa peat also is there.
Okay.
Turmeric is one crop which they are raising under cocoa peat.
Okay.
Yeah, and the report, the findings are that the curcumin content is high in this.
Okay.
Maybe that has to do with the variety, but the findings have to be formalized. This is in brief about what, as a certification body, we are associated with it.
Yeah. So very nice, sir. Thank you very much. Why I started this webinar or a panel discussion is that when I was looking after the MediHub activities, there were a lot of phone calls from the entrepreneurs that they want to rush into this hydroponics for medicinal and aromatic plants. Then I thought that why not we understand the system and what is the feasibility that we can go ahead with the cultivation of these medicinal plants in soilless cultures. So at the end of this webinar, maybe we will be able to answer certain questions that what are the medicinal plants that we can think of going to this hydroponics or soilless cultures. So
sir, can I say something?
Who is this, sir? Can you please introduce yourself, sir?
I'm Sumit Dhawan from Z Agro. Okay. I have experience in hydroponics and I am doing almost 100 acres of aromatic cultivation. On the hydroponics part, I've done some experiments which I would like to share with you.
Okay, sir. Okay. Can you briefly share the things? Can you?
Sure. See, in terms of any cultivation that you want to do as part of hydroponics, let's say in this case, since we're talking about turmeric, as long as it is not the retrieval is not from the leaf, the retrieval is from the root, or there is a fruit or a vegetable or a flower which is being extracted, that is only successful in terms of hydroponics. Otherwise, doing any sort of cultivation in terms of hydroponics would be very costly, though result would be much more higher, but it would the process would become very costly. That's all I want to share, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And let us listen to Dr. Kalaivanan. So let me introduce my speaker today, who is the expert in the field of soilless cultures in the horticulture crops. Dr. Kalaivanan, sir, please can you show your video, sir? Put on your video, sir. Dr. Kalaivanan. Dr. Kalaivanan, you are there? Hello? Hello? Dr. Kalaivanan, you are there?
Yes, sir. I'm here, sir.
Yeah. Can you put on your video, sir, please?
Yes.
So, Dr. Kalaivanan is a scientist working in the field of natural resource management at Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, Bangalore. He has a vast experience. There is an echo. Okay. Experience in the field of soilless cultures as well as hydroponics in horticulture crops, more specifically vegetables and other things, and same may be applied to the medicinal and aromatic plants. So with this brief introduction, now I invite Dr. Kalaivanan to share his experience in this aspect. With this, Dr. Kalaivanan, sir, please.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Respected Director, maybe PR, and then Dr. Nagaraj Reddy, the in-charge and scientist in charge of MediHub, and other members of MediHub, and my dear participants, good afternoon to all of you. So, like Dr. Nagaraj Reddy, they used to get a lot of inquiry on soilless culture or hydroponics. Similarly, in Bangalore also, ICR, Indian Institute of Horticulture Research, we do conduct a lot of training programs once in a week, and in that we demand wise, if you rank it, the topmost priority and demand is on soilless culture, and then followed by mushroom cultivation, then followed by other aspects. So this is how it is ranking at presently. So this is my experience with our Best Heart, like MediHub. We have Best Heart here. So every month we conduct in this particular aspect. So we could get a good number of participants on payment basis. So that way, this is the demand wise, no doubt, this is having very good demand, and people are ready to participate even with the payment, and they are ready to take the information on soilless culture. And then coming to the aspect of soilless culture, the soilless culture is a method of growing plants without soil. So this particular technology, 16th century only, it came up in a wider way. But if you see this particular technology, the German botanist Sachs and Knapp, they have discovered during mid of 19th century, which resulted in the development of this particular technique. Every one of us, we think that this particular technology is modern day practice, but that is not true. This particular, in fact, this is one of the oldest form of farming adapted in the earth. If you see in the ocean, you can see the photosynthetic algae and photosynthetic bacteria, how it is growing on the water. So even after this particular appearance of this particular photosynthetic algae and bacteria, then afterwards only the terrestrial plants started growing in the earth. So in that case, this is very, very old technology. If you see in the right side, the Hanging Garden of Babylon, this particular garden built around 600 BC. So that particular time, they used the very good water distribution system. That is, this particular garden developed entirely based on hydroponics. I mean, only based on the water. That particular water they have taken from the Euphrates River, which is located near to Baghdad. So that way, because that particular river water had very good amount of oxygen and minerals, so that way this particular garden thrived very well, and this was one of the finest example and one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. So this is how this particular technology started in the earth in a big way. Then another example, finest example, if you see, we know very well World War I and II, US Army really, they have helped to end the World War I and II, and they deputed their soldiers all around across the world, particularly along the European countries and in the East Asia and Pacific Ocean side. So that particular time, they have dispatched their soldiers to nook and corner of the world to fight and to end the World War I and II. So during that time, the US Army, they thought that to supply fresh vegetables, it is not possible to send the vegetables from the motherland, that is USA, to the soldiers where they posted or operated. Then they started using this particular technology to produce particularly the fresh vegetables, including the leafy vegetables, wherever they are. So they produced and they supplied to the army. So they really benefited by this particular technology. And then another example, the floating garden of Aztec. We had a very good civilization, and a number of civilizations in the world. Even Indus Valley civilization, if you take, or Nile Valley civilization, if you take, or Mayan civilization. Likewise, there are a number of civilizations appeared in the earth, and many of them disappeared. And among them, the finest one, Aztec civilization. This particular civilization, they had a island. In that are surrounded by arable land, but all the neighbors are hostile neighbors. Like India, how we are having neighbors. Similarly, this particular Aztec empire, they had neighbors as a hostile neighbors. Then very difficult to grow the crops, because whatever they have, all of them are water bodies. Then they started constructing the floating gardens on the this particular lake is called as Texcoco. This particular city is called as Tenochtitlan. This city is present-day Mexico City. So then they started constructing a floating garden with the help of the leaves and then tough roots and stems and other material. in a big size. Then they started growing corn, vegetables, and other food items. So that way they survived purely by depending on this particular technology. And that time the population of this particular city was 2 lakh. So imagine during that time, the feeding 2 lakh population is not so easy. So that way they really did a very wonderful job, and they supplied to the people, and that way they survived. Because that was the demand required that time, they really found out the answer for that, and they survived. And then right now, we know we are facing very different situation on the border. Even our institute, like Defense Research and Development Organization, it is one of the finest organization under the government of India. They are working on cultivating vegetables under intense winter season, particularly, you know, what is happening in Ladakh and other places. Our armies, they are very tightly placed in that particular location to supply fresh vegetable to the army. So our DRDO, they are working day and night to come out with technology, and in fact, they have already come out with technology like passive greenhouse technology, zero energy technology for storage and for cultivation of microgreens on cocoa beet or under soilless culture. So these particular aspects under DRDO, Defense Institute for High Altitude Research, they are working, and they have already come out with many technology, and some more they are going to come out. So even our soldiers, they are growing microgreens at border to meet out their demand. So this is another potential of this particular technology. So this is having the strategic value. See, in the border, whatever land we have, arable land or anything, even we are one of the largest arable land holder in the world. But even with that land, we cannot supply the required feed material or fresh vegetables to the forces those who are operating right now in the border. So this is how this particular technology is having the strategic value. And then, so now coming to this particular aspect, why soilless culture is required? So this is the very important questions. As I said in the earlier slide, we have the largest arable land in the world, around 145 million hectare out of 328 million hectare geographical area. And we are the largest arable land holding country in the world. Even the US, they don't have, the Canada, they don't have, the China, they don't have, but we have. That is the gift given by the God to country like India. So even with that much land, we could not able to meet out our demand in certain aspects. That means, why? Because of the most important reason is soil-borne pestilent diseases. It is causing a serious problem to all the crops. If you take any crops, be it agriculture crops or horticulture crops, under horticulture crops, if you take fruits, vegetables, or ornamental or even medicinal and aromatic plants, really it is giving a tough challenge. So under this situation, we have to see some alternative methods. And then coming to soil acidity and salinity, this is another serious problem. The salts, which is creating a #1 problem to agriculture in the world than any other problem. If you take salt, so then lack of fertile soils. And this is another problem. See, when we got independence, that time we had nearly an organic carbon status of 1%, but today the organic carbon status of our soil is 0.3%. So we lost nearly 0.7%. That means, so our soil is becoming sterile or infertile. So really, it is also because of this particular reason, most of our arable land are being converted into degraded land. So with this situation, how we are going to cope up with this situation? That is also another important point. Then water shortage, you see, this is another serious problem. Fortunately, we had very good monsoon in the last 3 years, so there is no problem of water shortage. So even then water salinity is another problem. Then unfavorable soil compaction. So because of the continuous use of heavy machineries and other things, so we are really facing a serious problem. And then limited aerations, and then poor drainage. This is another problem. Then degradation due to aeration, then frequent drought condition, then decline in groundwater level, then slopy lands, and then most importantly, the shrinking of arable land. Okay, now then coming to the types of soilless culture. So soilless culture is the broader. It is broader. In this, we can feed almost, other than soil, whatever we practices, all the methodology we can feed under soilless culture. Again, we can classify the soilless culture into two groups. One is substrate-based culture, another one is water culture. in substrate-based culture, we have two types, organic substrate-based culture and inorganic substrate-based culture. In this particular technology, we can really improve the efficiency of water as well as the nutrient. And then the second one is water culture. Under water culture, there are three important aspects. One is hydroponics, aeroponics, and aquaponics. The hydroponics, here, in hydroponics, the plants are being grown on the thin layer of the nutrient solutions or on the nutrient solutions. Then similarly in the aeroponics, as mentioned by the respected director of ICAR DMVAPR. So here the nutrient solution is sprayed on the roots of the plant in the form of mist. So that is how this particular technology is working. It is really very much successful in the field of seed potato production in the country, and really our ICAR Center and Potato, they did very good work, and we are really doing very well in this particular aspect. Similarly, here in IIHR also, we are working on how to produce the combs and bulbs and comblets by using this particular technology, aeroponics, that we are working with that, and we are getting combs. Still, we are at the process of perfecting this particular technology. You can see here the images of that particular crop growth. This is gladiolus growth on aeroponics, and this is the hydroponics of leafy vegetables. And then aquaponics is the hybrid version of both hydroponics and aquaculture. So hydroponics, then in combination with fish culture. So in this particular technology, the fish, when we grow fish, the whatever left out is coming out of the aquaculture that can be used as the nutrient source for the plants. So the plants, they can take up the nutrients from that waste generated by the fish. Then it will again recirculate that water after purifying by reducing the EC to the aquaculture, so that the fish can get the good water for their growth. And then again under hydroponics, there are types, nutrient film technique, deep water culture, wick system, ebb and flow, and then drip recovery system, aeroponic. So these are all the system, but concept is same. In all the system, we have to grow the plants on the nutrient solution. So because based on the way we are giving the nutrient solution, they have classified into different groups. In nutrient films, here the thin layer of nutrient solution is continuously flowing on the pipes, PVC pipes. In that, the plants which are on the top of the pipe coming and contacting with the nutrient solution, through this the plants are taking the nutrient and growing. But here the pump is required, and then continuous electricity is required. This is the disadvantage with respect to this particular technology. But the deep water culture, here the plants flow directly on top of the nutrient solutions. So here no air pump is required. So, but whenever we need any decline in the oxygen, then we need some air pump to create air stones, so that way the plants can survive with a good amount of oxygen. So otherwise, the electricity consumption wise, deep water culture is found to be a very energy saving technology compared to the NFT. Similarly, wick system also, here wick is used to draw the water from the nutrient from the tank. Then ebb and flow also, here the nutrient solution is pumped into a planting tray filled with the gravels or other substrates. Then after sometimes the nutrient solution again is flushed back to the reservoir. Here also the pump is required, both air and water pump. This is like a nutrient film technique only, but the operation wise is different. Then drip recovery system is like, here the nutrient solution is directly given onto the substrate instead of the roots coming to contact with the nutrient solution. So that way, this is the drip recovery system. Finally, the leftover nutrient solution they are coming to the water tank, the nutrient tank, solution tank. Then aeroponics, this I already explained. And then the advantages and disadvantages, I think based on my previous explanation, I think you can get the advantages and disadvantages. And then really we can grow so many crops on using hydroponics as well as soilless culture. This is one of the example how the basil is growing nicely under NFT. How beautifully and profusely growing basil on NFT technique. And then coming to why soilless culture of medicinal and aromatic crops are required at this juncture. Because it is widely followed in vegetable cultivation adopted by the urban and peri-urban people. Nowadays, and that too after COVID, people are very much aware of the medicinal and aromatic crops, and they are looking for some herbs to build their immunity. So that way, this is really a need of the hour, and the topic is very well justified. And I hope that after this lecture and after this particular program, people they start growing the medicinal and aromatic crops. And then really see right now we are getting 90% of the medicinal and aromatic crops from the wild sources. So we are the source is it is like renewable and non-renewable. So most of the sources are getting depleted. So definitely to save our herbs in the forest, we have to find out some alternate method, and we have to go for systematic cultivation of those crops, which is very much required, and the attention is very much required. And then, as I said in the earlier, why soilless culture is required, shrinking of cultivable land and water resources, which resulted in reduction in the supply of the quality raw material, particularly with respect to herbs, medicinal and aromatic plants. And then presently, few major medicinal plants are grown in open field, but which results in large year-to-year variability. And most of them, and they are practicing under contract farming. And even in the last month, we discussed with some of the growers, they are growing under contract farming, even without applying any inputs. Simply they are growing and getting the whatever material they are getting, they are supplying to the industry. So they are really depleting the soil fertility. So that is not the correct way. So we have to go systematic, either in the open or in the alternate method. So we have to do it by taking care of the soil health. We should not treat the soil as a commodity. We have to treat as a soil as a living thing. Then only we can attain the sustainable production of all the crops. And in fact, the even active principles also is declining because of improper management practices practiced in the open field condition, and without application of required inputs to the plants or to the soil. So therefore, these particular crops, which we have to definitely cultivate under alternate methods. So either in the soilless culture, as I mentioned earlier, the types, one can follow any method. And then vertical farming also, it is because as in the beginning, some of the participants, they have told the space constraints. So here the vertical farming is coming to play a role. So to manage the space constraints, we can go for vertical farming with soilless culture. So that way, so soilless culture, because soilless culture, the media is weightless compared to the soil. So that way, in the terrace of 1,200 square feet or 1,000 square feet, whatever it may be, they can definitely grow by using the soilless substrates like cocoa peat to ensure the steady supply of raw material to the user industry, as well as for our own consumption in the home, which can really reduce the pressure on the natural resources. And then what are all the crops can be grown under soilless culture in commercial level? So I have given other crops also, including the cereals, fruits, vegetables, condiments, fodder crops. So these are all not related to this particular topic. So I will skip this. This is just for the sake of our participants. You can see what kind of other crops can grow under soilless culture. And then coming to the medicinal and aromatic crops. So there are n number of crops which we can really grow on under soilless culture, either by following the NFT technique or under cocoa peat. The list starts from Brahmi, Chamomile, then Manduka Parni, insulin plant, mint, and rosemary, tulsi, sweet basils, up to aloe vera, thymes. There are almost all the crops, these whatever I listed here, which we can grow in soilless culture. So many of these crops which we are using as a salads, juice, chutney, decoction, curries, and in other forms, and which really improve our health by building the immunity. And then requirements for growing medicinal plants under soilless culture. So what are all the requirements? First, the growing conditions. So medicinal plants can be grown in full sunlight as well as in the partial shade. So depending on the species, we can select the method of or condition of growing condition. The many household herbs like Brahmi, long pepper, and Manduka Parni, that can be cultivated in partial shade condition, which may be either available in the balcony or in the windows or in the backyard or even under the shade. So that way, these kind of crops they can select for growing under soilless culture, and then even one can provide the shade if they want to grow on the terrace or in the polyhouse. They can provide the shade or even in the open condition also by using the 50% shade net, preferably green color. And then herbs like tulsi, mint, then amrutapalli, the stevia, rosemary, those crops, these crops are require full sunlight. So for this, we have to give full sunlight. So there is no need of any shade or any shade net. And then container or grow bag. So here mostly I am going to cover on the substrate-based culture. Compared to the hydroponics. Here, medicinal plants can be grown in containers such as plastic pots, wooden baskets, droves, and grow bags, or in vertical containers. So nowadays, many vertical structures are available. Even grow bags of different sizes are available. So one can buy and use. See here, you can see the different sizes of pots and droves. In tubs also, plastic tubs are available, and then cement tubs are available, or even steel polyene. Tarpaulin tubs are available, so troughs are available, so that they can use it, and different sizes of bags are also available from 15 rupees to even 50 rupees or 100 rupees. So, for all budgets, plastic bags are available. So they can buy it and use it for growing these vegetables, even in terrace or even in small scale or even in acres, in polygons or in the open condition by using bags or the pots, particularly drops is most suitable for growing medicinal crops. And then coming to the substrate, this is one of the important aspects in soilless culture. Two things are very important. One is substrate, another one is the nutrient solution. These two one should take it. And substrate, once in the beginning itself, if you give much attention to the substrate, then that problem will be solved in the beginning itself. So any substrate, the growers or business entrepreneurs, before going to select, they have to see whether that particular substrate is fulfilling the four important functions. That is, the first and foremost important function is the nutrient reservoir. Any substrate, whatever you select it and use it, that should act as the nutrient reservoir. Then only they can supply the nutrient to the plants. So that is a very important aspect. Then it should hold enough water so that this particular substrate can supply the required water to the plants. So that way the water holding capacity is very important. And then the remaining two are related to the aeration and physical support. Of course, the standing of crop is very important. And for that, we have to see, because all the substrate cannot support the standing of the crop. So that also we have to see. And then aeration, oxygen supply is very, very important for crop growth. So if oxygen supply is not sufficient, the plant will not grow properly. So that way the oxygen supply is very much important. And that too, compared to soil, if we practice soilless culture, the good amount of oxygen is being supplied to the plants. So that's why the plants are growing vigorously and profusely, and with a good amount of oxygen received from the substrate. And when you use a substrate like coco peat, would result in efficient and effective use of water and fertilizers, and minimize the use of chemicals for pest and disease control, particularly the control of soil-borne pest and diseases. So really, that way we can reduce more than 50% of the chemicals. Otherwise, in the soil cultivation, we have to use more number of pesticide and fungicide. But in soilless culture, that way one can save a lot of cost, and most importantly, the pesticide or chemical-free material we can give to the industry as well as to the people of this country. Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, because here power gone, that's why I thought some problem here.
No, you are well audible.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And then coming to the characters of the substrate. So now the functions I have highlighted. What are all the functions the substrate should fulfill, that I have highlighted. Now, next, the most important aspect, the specification of the substrate. So before selecting the substrate, one should see whether the substrate is inert or a reactive one. So because any substrate we have to see, it should be inert. It should not react with the nutrients. Otherwise, what will happen, like in the soil, when we grow plants on the soil, even with a good amount of fertilizer application, we face the problem of fixation of nutrient by the soil. So that problem won't happen in the substrate-based culture. So that way, we can save a lot of fertilizers, cost, and environment. So that way, this is very important. Then the pH of the substrate should be neutral, somewhere in between 6.5 to 7.5. and then the substrate should be porous. So it should be it should have more pore space or porosity. So that so definitely most of the substrate, particularly organic substrate, they are having very good porosity, and then density wise it should be low. So here, because if you see the soil density, the most of the soil densities varies from 1.2 to 1.6. But if you see the substrate density, it varies from 0.10 to 0.1 to 0.25. But comparatively, when you see soil, the most of the substrates, soilless substrates are having less density. So that's why if you compare soil and coco peat, coco peat weight is 1/10 of the soil weight. This is where the soilless culture is so successful in the terrace and balcony and in the backyards and even in the commercial level, because in the terrace we cannot keep more soil weight because the building structure is very important. So that way, in place of keeping 35 tons of soil in terrace, one can keep with 3.5 tons of coco peat. So almost 1/10 of the weight one can reduce it when they switch over to soilless cultivation. And then substrate should be hydrophilic in nature. It should love the water, it should not hate the water. So that way, some of the substrate, particularly organic substrate, they are having very good water holding capacity. They are absorbing a lot of waters and keeping it and giving to the plant. So not like soil. So maximum in soil, we can have up to 40% water holding capacity. But in coco peat or other organic substrate, one can have the water holding capacity of up to 250%. So that is the advantage with substrate. And then the substrate should be free from heavy metals and radioactive pollutants. So in organic substrates like coco peat, naturally they don't have any heavy metals, and of course some heavy metals may be there, but radioactive pollutants, there is no chance of exposing to the radioactive pollutants like soil, because soil we are taking from the earth. So definitely there is a possibility of contamination with the radioactive pollutants. So that way substrates are free from most of the pollutants. And then it should be, as much as possible, it should be used as natural form without any further processing or minimal processing. And then the most of the substrate, whatever you are going to select it, it should be either mined from the nature or from the industry, produced from the industry. For example, and then it should have the constant quality. Any substrate, whatever you select, it should be at least for minimum of 3 years longevity or lifespan. Otherwise, if you work out the economics, it may not be economical. So that way, we have to select the lifespan-wise good substrate. And then you should use the low cost, and then it should be naturally recyclable, and then it should be resistant to sterilization, all those things, and then pest and disease-free material. So these are all some of the specifications one should see before buying the substrate. And then again, substrate-wise, two groups are there, the organic and inorganic. And the organic substrate category, the peat moss, this particular peat moss substrate very popular 10 years back in India, but nowadays the popularity of this particular peat moss or sphagnum moss is coming reducing that popularity and all compared to coco peat. One reason is the government banning of mining of this particular material from the hilly areas by the government. Another reason, non-availability of this material. So, and then wood residues that we can use it, as sawdust we can use it, and then box we can use it. Either wood residues and all we have to use with mixing with other substrate. Similarly, sawdust also we have to mix with other substrates like perlite and vermiculite. And then even wood box also we can use it. And then finally, coco peat. This is the dominating substrate presently in the country as well as in the world. Even export-wise, every year the growth rate of export is increasing to 20% every passing years. So even in the domestic consumption-wise also, it is the rate. If you see 2 years back, the rate was 5 rupees, but today is more than 10 rupees per kg. So that way, the demand is getting increasing, and as well as the cost is also increasing. So because it is having some of the phytotoxic chemicals like phenolic and tannin compounds, which naturally act as the resistant to plant diseases. So that is the reason why most of the soil-borne disease we can control with the help of soilless culture using the coco peat substrate. And then in the right side, you can see inorganic substrates, perlite, sand, vermiculite, calcined clays, fumes, and then rock wool. These are all some of the inorganic substrates. Most of them are mined from the mining industry, where the granite mining or tiles and other even iron ore mining, there they are getting these materials as byproducts. So either one can use a pure substrate, otherwise they can go for different combination in different ratios for achieving better yield and quality. And this is the images of different substrates, inorganic substrates. You can see rock wool image, perlite, vermiculite, fumes. Most of them are the byproducts of the mining industry. And then organic substrate wise, sphagnum, peat moss, then wood residues, sawdust, bore. These are all some of the organic residues. It is getting popularity, and initially cocoa peat gained the popularity, but now along with cocoa peat, many other organic substrates are also gaining popularity. And coming to the IHR substrate, that is Arka fermented cocoa peat. So we developed a substrate called as Arka fermented cocoa peat. This particular product we developed mainly for nursery purpose, but later we started evaluating this particular substrate for cultivation of vegetables, and really it is working very well for growing vegetables, medicinal plants, as well as ornamental crops. This is the properties of that particular substrate. Raw material properties you can see here, and then after conversion, what is the properties. So after conversion, most of the nutrient contents are increasing, and as well as the dynein and phenol compounds are decreasing. And similarly, the pH is also nearing to the neutral range. So that way, whatever I have given as a specification for the ideal substrate, most of the specification are fulfilled by this particular substrate. And even if you see the physical properties, once if you convert the coir peat into fermented cocoa peat, definitely there is a possibility of increasing the bulk density and particle density, and there is a possibility of reducing the pore space and water holding capacity. So every passing years, so it is natural to increase the bulk density and particle density because of this is the natural material. Continuous degradation and decomposition will happen. So this is natural. Then planting material. So coming to the medicinal crops. So here in medicinal crops, the planting materials are either seeds, one can use it, or seedlings, or runners, or rooted cuttings. That they have to select it based on the crop which you are going to grow under soil culture, either in the pot or container or grow bag. So that way you can select it. Based on the species, one have to select whether seed you are going to use it or seedlings, or those things are based on the species. And then some of the herbs which one can grow in household as well as for commercial purpose. See, here we have given the list, starting from Sandala asiatica and Brahmi, Tulsi, and sweet basil, and then what is the active principal compound present in that particular crop, and then uses, what is the purpose of these particular medicinal crops in consumption point of view, and then method of propagation, everything is given here, and then plugging, particularly the harvest, after planting or sowing, when one can go for harvest, and then what is the production for a unit area. So everything we have worked out here, we have given here. So 500, the output wise, production wise, the varies from 400 gram to 600 gram per square meter area per month under soil culture. And then even in the long pepper, shatavari, dottapatre, then ashwagandha. Here the root is the main economic produce. So that way, even in the if you see the root harvest also, or production wise also, varies from 200 to 700 gram per square meter area per month. So here also the other list we have given here. Then many of the herbs mentioned in the table are multi-cuts and multi-harvest, and they can be harvested by using secateurs or clippers as and when necessary. And this is the images of some of the medicinal crops. And the nutrient management. So after substrate, the nutrient management is very, very important. So because we are most of the people, they are very much interested about their health. So really, they are looking for organic way of cultivation. So for them, if they want to grow organically, they can grow it definitely under soil culture by mixing 2-3 substrates in a proper ratio. For example, if you want to grow medicinal herbs in organic way, organic soil culture, then you can use FIM compost and vermicompost with at the rate of 1:1 volume ratio, which will take care of the nutrient requirement of the plants also per season. So the later on, the volume of the substrate will come down because of the continuous disintegration and degradation as well as decomposition. Then the top up, we have to do it again with the same mixture, with the same ratio. So that way, the subsequent seasons and years, we can easily grow with the organic way of manures in different ratios. Otherwise, suppose if you want to grow helps using one substrate or the two substrate, combination of two substrate, then if you can use fertilizers also like 19-ol or 17-ol. This you can get it as from the market. So by diluting 1 gram of 19-ol into 1 liter of water, you can give 100 ml per pot or per grow bags of size 1:1. So based on that, if you go for bigger size pot or bigger size grow bags or bigger size drove, then you can calculate accordingly quantity. Then you can give to the plants. This is how one can manage the nutrient. And then watering. So the main problem what we are facing today is that people are giving excess water. So that is the reason. So no need of giving excess water because most of the organic substrates, soilless media are having very good water holding capacity. So in the beginning, you have to give before sowing or planting, you have to fill the water with the full capacity, water holding capacity. Then later on, only you have to give water whenever the surface area is getting dried. So that much water is sufficient. No need to give excess water. And one more for urban people and peri-urban people, most of them, they have RO water. They can RO unit, whatever wastewater is coming out from that RO unit, that also they can use it as a nutrient source. Excuse me 1 minute. That also one can use as a source of irrigation as well, irrigation water as well as for the nutrient purpose point of view, because most of the wastewater are having very good amount of nutrients. So by analyzing the EC content of that water as well as analyzing the particular nutrient concentration, one can use it for commercial level. Otherwise, as such also if you use it, nothing is happening because I have tried it and it is working very well. And pest and disease, because these two things are very important because particularly for terrace and balcony cultivation, this will be very useful. Then pest and disease. In these crops, not much infestation of pest and disease are noticed. If any pest and diseases are noticed, particular pest, then spraying of neem oil is recommended because most of them are very useful and on medical point of view. So we should not use the chemical pesticide. And we have to use only the organic pesticides. 2 ml neem oil 2 ml per liter and neem soap 7 to 10 gram per liter for effective control of pest. If any disease is noticed, then biocontrol agents, herbals as well as botanicals or biofungicide at fortnightly interval can be sprayed. These two is important for controlling the pest and diseases. Or otherwise, simply for terrace farming, if you go and see the plants every day, you can find out the pest and disease, because initially if you observe daily, then you can remove by hand and you can control it even without spraying of this neem oil and other things. So that way it is up to the individual care how you are taking it. So based on that, you can minimize even the use of organic pesticide, biopesticides. And this is a different species of osimum. So there are so many species of osimums are there. So these crops are growing very well under soilless culture. And then in IHR, we have released very good Cinderella varieties, Arka Brahvavi and Arka Divya. So they are growing very well in soilless culture. And this is the mint of different species of different types of mint. And then in the international level, if you see, so many workers, they worked with the soilless culture, particularly with the medicinal and aromatic plants. So they have found that either the principal active compounds or the production or productivity is getting increased when one go with soilless culture. So those things I have highlighted here, either the active principal compound or nutrient content or otherwise the yield, and otherwise the saving of water and for nutrients. So in all the ways, so yeah, it is really helping to get better results. And even Karaki and Othman, they have conducted an experiment in the year 2009 with 5 different medicinal crops, medicinal and aromatic crops. So if you see here the yield loss, so it varies from 0.9 kg to almost 3.2 kg per meter square area, and even in the dry weight or herbal weight also. So here they use the concrete drove. So here the concrete drove, the length may be anything, maximum or otherwise 30 meter or 15 meter. So that way based on the availability you can. But depth minimum 1 feet is sufficient. No need of going for a deeper one, because that is not useful unless until if you don't grow any deep rooted medicinal crops. So that way how based on the crop you have to select the container. And then similarly, the width also you can select up to 0.6 meter or 0.7 meters. So no need of going for wider width. But length, it may be up to 14-15 meter. Again, if you go for any plastic drove or sail polythene drove, then you can increase the length. But in the cement, you should not increase the length because it is difficult to maintain. So that way you can select that. And then here, the images what they harvested in that particular experiment. And then the yield wise also, the particular workers, they have compared between soilless and open field conditions. Here you can see that reported average herbal yield in open field and in the soilless system, and the difference. See here you can see the difference. See almost 264% higher yield they got it in soil, and then German Camolite, and then Jordanian and thyme. See in almost all the crops, the percentage of the yield increase more than 200%. They have reported. Even in the flower yield also, so from 199 to 334%. So it is giving wonderful results. And so far I have highlighted about the why soilless culture is required, the history of soilless culture, and then substrate of soilless culture for soilless culture, then types of soilless culture, and the nutrient management, all those things. So here to some extent we worked in with the medicinal and aromatic plants in IHR, but we did a lot of work in the last 5 years with vegetables. So if you are interested, I can continue my presentation with vegetables for a few minutes. So it is, if they permit me, I can come. Because I think participants, they may be interested on vegetables also.
Go ahead quickly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So here in IHR, we standardized a protocol for so many vegetables, starting from tomato to zucchini. So this particular crop is tomato. Here we used our IHR hybrid Arka Rakshak. This is a triple resistant variety, and we did with cocoa peat under open field as well as in the polyhouse conditions. So here you can see we used a grow bag length of 1 feet, 4 feet length and 1 feet width and 1 feet depth. So how the tomato growth is here you can see. And then this is the vegetative growth of the tomato Arka Rakshak. This is the fruit setting of tomato hybrid Arka Rakshak on cocoa peat. And then this is the harvested fruits. And then another important crop is zucchini. I think most of you may not be aware of this particular crop. And this is another exotic vegetables, which is one of the most suitable crop for growing under soilless culture, both in open as well as in the polyhouse. And you can see the difference between soil and in the soilless. How much difference you can see the leaf of the plants as well as in the height of the growth of the plant. See, the leaf is almost double of the size of the soil leaf size. So that way you can see the clear-cut difference with respect to cocoa peat and soil. And this is in polyhouse. And here even we could get up to 5.2 kg, 7 kg of zucchini fruit yield per plant under open field condition. But in under polyhouse, we would get only 3.74 kg per plant. So that way here open field is performing better than soilless polyhouse condition. And here again the difference between soil and fermented cocoa peat on yield. Here also you can see the better yield we could get with the cocoa peat than in the soil. And then this is the fruits of the zucchini. And then another exotic vegetable, color cabbage, also we standardized and we could get very good yield even in this crop also up to 54 tons per hectare in the open field condition under open field soilless culture. And this is the layout of that open field soilless culture. And then even chili also we standardized, and here also we could get 1.43 kg of chili fruit yield per plant under soilless culture. And then this is the fruit setting, chili fruit setting, and this harvested fruits. And then another leaf vegetables also we worked out. And here you can see one can get up to 2.72 kg per meter square of amaranthus red, and similarly for amaranthus green also you can get 2.5 kg per meter square, and coriander, pollock, followed by pollock and coriander. And this is how the leaf vegetables are being grown under soilless culture using the grow bags. And another cucumber also we standardized, and here we could get 332 tons per hectare in the open field conditions. And this is the harvested fruits under different treatments. And another important vegetable, French bean, also we did work under soilless culture. And here also we could get 286 gram per plant yield wise. And then this is the pot setting under soilless culture. And then another important vegetable, garden peas, it is also growing very well under soilless culture. Here you can see the height of the garden peas, and one can get up to 1.16 kg per bag. And this is the harvested garden peas. This is the peas settings, pot setting. And even we demonstrated in our National Horticulture Fair, and every year we keep on demonstrating in a large scale this particular technology, and it is one of the most attractive exhibition field for all the participants. Generally, we used to have more than 100 bags in the open field of all different vegetables. And then this is the another important vegetable, dolichos. You can see the fruit setting of the pot setting of the dolichos. And then another hydroponics also we did with the pollock and lettuce. And then the nutrient management, we have standardized individual crop-based nutrient formula. And then this is the standardized NPK for different vegetables. And this is the cost economics for different vegetables. Among all the vegetables, zucchini gives very good profit, followed by cabbage, and then chili and other crops. And we have come out with a very good product, that is Arcosa Postacrasia liquid nutrient formulation for soilless vegetable cultivation. This one can use it for all vegetable cultivation. By following the recommendation, they can grow all the vegetables. And then coming to the advantage of soilless culture. So here, advantage-wise, one can continuously cultivate the land without giving any break. But in the soil, it is not at all possible in the open field condition, because from between two crops, we have to give sometimes minimum 10 to 15 days we have to give for land preparations. So that way, here, no need to give any importance to the land preparation, because we are not dealing with the land or soil. So that way, continuous cultivation. Suppose today morning, if you are harvesting, today evening itself, we can go for next crop. So that is the advantage of this particular technology, and it is low cost and the time for. For land preparation wise, we no need to spend much money, and we no need to spend labor. So that way, the labor requirement is very, very minimum, particularly for weed management. So because here we are not at all getting any weed growth under cocoa peat based soilless culture, and then clean produce is possible. With this particular technology, which are free from soil contaminants, because we are not using soil as a substrate. Clean produce in that sense, it's because even the root of the plant also one can use it after removing the plants. So that is the beauty of this particular method. So if you remove the plants, you can see the very beautiful white roots in a cocoa peat. So if you remove the plants in the soil, you cannot find white roots. Either it may be the red or brown or yellow. So likewise, you cannot use the roots, but here in this particular technology, you can use the roots of the plants also, because roots also having very good values. And then year-round production is possible, because as I mentioned at the beginning by respected director of the DMAPR, so he mentioned about aeroponics, year-round production is possible in this technology. So then minimized use of water and nutrient due to better use efficiency. Because the holding capacity of the substrate is very good, and the wastage is not there. Whatever we give water, it will remain in the cocoa peat only. Unless if you don't give any excess water, that way even nutrient wise also there is no leaching of nutrient in the cocoa peat based soilless culture, and there is no wastage of it. So that way, whenever we grow in soil, the nutrient whatever we apply, it may go to the deeper layer, or otherwise it may be get fixed with the other compounds like phosphorus, for example, if you take phosphorus, it will be fixed by iron, aluminum, calcium, sodium, like that. But that problem won't happen here. So that way, up to 50% of the nutrient one can save in this method. So this is very, very important. Even our respected, our honorable Prime Minister is also, whenever he gives a speech in agriculture forum, he gives more importance on saving of fertilizers and nutrients. So that way, this will be even water also. And then crop uniformity, then higher productivity and better quality is very much possible in this method. One can get very good nutrient content, and then better principal active ingredient in medicinal crops, and then of course the low soil borne disease also. And then more crop cycle is possible, because here one thing what we observed, the plant growth is very fast and it attains yearly maturity. So even if you take example of tomato, the first harvest appears in the soilless plants than in the soil plants. So when we get harvest in the soil plants, grown plants, before that we can get three harvest in the soilless plants. So that is advantages. If you take medicinal crops, really you can get very good biomass. And then disadvantage, of course, that high initial cost in buying the bags or drove or establishing the unit or buying the NFT or other things. So that way, high operational cost. Beginning, it requires some investment, and then most important ones, requirement of technical know-how. So the farmers, they can do farming in the soil, but the growers, they cannot do easily in this particular method. That too in the hydroponics is really very tough for the beginners. So the beginners, they have to have patience to get the results. So you have to wait and you have to perform yourself, because every time you cannot depend on the consultant or industry for your requirement. Otherwise, they will charge more than the. So that way, if you learn quickly, then you can adapt quickly, and then you can follow it in a commercial scale. Then needs thorough knowledge on the agronomy and crop physiology of the crop. Before going for any crop, one should know the agronomy of that crop and physiology of that crop. So that is very, very important. So immediately one should not start, that they have to go through it everything carefully, and then they have to select the suitable crop based on the market and based on the performance on the soil. So everything you have to select it and you have to go it. Then requirement of quality waters. So this is another important aspect. So under this particular technology, so that way, but in cocoa peat based soilless culture, this is not much serious problem. But in hydroponics, one should see the quality of water. So thank you very much for your patient hearing, as well as for giving an opportunity. I thank the TMEPR for giving me a wonderful opportunity to present whatever we did in IHR, particularly with respect to.
Sir,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, will you take questions now?
We'll take quickly questions after one more presentation will be there. So we'll be highlighting about our MediHub TBI, Technology Business Incubation Program, and other things. So after that, we'll have questions we'll be taking up at the end of this program. So now I request Dr. Deepa to share and go ahead with the presentation on MediHub Technology Business Incubator for incubation support and business development. Dr. Deepa, please.
பால் இருக்குல்ல அவ்வளோ நேரம் 1 hour மேலே ஆகிவிடுது, தண்ணியே இல்லை. Go ahead.
Done. This is me. Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I would be highlighting you the importance of an incubation center, right? In that, I would be covering first of all why to tap the business in medicinal and aromatic plant right now. Secondly, why you need an incubation center, and third, why you need MediHub support, right? So first of all, we'll look that, see, herbal medicine serves the primary healthcare needs of about 80% of the world's population. There is a growing demand for medicinal plants and their products in the country, and due to the global resurgence in traditional and alternative healthcare system, the market for herbal drugs has grown at an impressive rate, and it continues to flourish and promise a bright future. MAPs, medicinal and aromatic plant, are not only important for healthcare system, but also important to boost the economy and can impart a significant role in the economic development, right? So we are here to help the nation as well. Okay, now here in the diagram, you can see that, see, dietary supplements, food beverages, organic beverages, pharmaceutical, nutritional ingredients, everything has a good profit sharing, right? But the profit sharing, which is, we can go for a reverse mechanism, that food beverages is around 32%. So there is still a good market for that. Food beverages organic are having only 20% of market share. So again, it is an untapped market which you can go for further business. See, just only the revenue of Patanjali, it has been booming like anything. Again, in 2015, it was 4,800 crores, right? In 16, it has doubled up. Now, even though it is going low because the other businessmen are tapping the market of Patanjali users. So we can do that also. Again, medicinal and aromatic plant have a wide and diverse application, right? See, the segments like herbal food, herbal ice creams, even Amul in the pandemic, they have tapped the market, like they have introduced an healthy ice cream. So herbal nutraceutical, herbal beverages, cosmetics, and there is a diverse range in domestic as well as international market. So application is wide for medicinal and aromatic plants. Further, the second why of my presentation is why you need an incubation center. See, incubation center is like a bridging gaps between your dream and inception of your business, right? So we would be working from a business idea to the inception of the business. So first of all, you are saving on rent. We would be charging a very nominal benchmark fee, and you'd be getting a place to sit, and every facilities an office must have, right? Second, finding a fund for you. Again, finding a fund is an very painful situation in any business, because business cannot flourish without a good amount of fund, right? So finding a fund and having a good amount of network of angel investors and linking you to the bank and financial institution is a work done by an incubation center. Again, learn and grow. You can learn and grow over here. Your ideas and information would be filtered and refiltered and redefined, and in more focused way, we can work upon that. Again, a network with other startups. You'd be always sharing your experiences. The flaws of your business idea would be corrected from the right path, so that to assure that you are running a successful business in future. Next, how an incubation process is done. See, any business idea need a filtration, right? So the setting up of idea filtration and giving more thoughts to that, expert comments, mentoring advices, showing you the flaws which would be coming to your path in that business, legal advices which are needed, analysis of business in each and every phases would be done, and then final checklist would be prepared, and then you will be able to hit the market and you'd be able to ready to go to market. Again, see, our vision is to commercialize innovations and to bring startups in medicinal and aromatic plants with the best in support system for new entrepreneurs, and hiccups of existing entrepreneurs would be also addressed. Now, facilities which we provide are like we have the requisite experts. We can propose to facilitate innovation in any business ventures related to our domain, that is medicinal and aromatic plant. We promote development of medicinal and aromatic plant business in fashion of technology transfers, as in any new technology or the technology which are already developed in the institution can be transferred to you on commercialized basis, right? So we also run this kind of webinars, workshops, and boot camps in the domain knowledge of medicinal and aromatic plants, just to help out the public at large. Again, the main services which we provide is, in detail I can discuss, is technology consultation, registration, licensing, technology transfer and commercialization. In business consultation, you'd be given assistance regarding business plan and backward and forward linkages of market and ready to go market strategies. Then mentoring and networking. Each and every phase you'd be mentored and guided, well guided, so that you don't fail in your venture, right? Facilities which we provide are research and lab facilities. Product development labs are available here. Production facilities would be guiding you. Plug and play office spaces, meeting rooms, seminar halls, everything is available to our incubating. Now, regarding funding, okay, access to funding, we would be having we are having a good network of funding agencies, banks, angel investor, and everything would be floated to you once you are admitted here. Then knowledge sharing, of course, we are having enough amount of mentors and they are loaded with good amount of knowledge, so that we can easily bridge up the all gaps between your dream idea, business idea, and your inception of business. So now, finally, just to end up the part and introduction, I would introduce that admission requirements are, first of all, application. Online link is available in the chat box. You can fill up the link and apply for incubation center. Your idea should be novel and related to medicinal and aromatic plants. See, again, we think that each and every plant have a medicinal property. So go ahead with the plan, okay? Now, business proposals and commercial feasibility. See, commercial feasibility means if you want to grow an opium in contract farming basis in Gujarat, it is illegal, right? So your any business idea should be commercially feasible. And we would be guiding you if you are unaware about anything. So once you apply and fill up the form, we would be guiding you again with the idea. Now, any enterprise, any industry association, research and development organization, an individual, anybody can apply, right? Your qualification and experience, you must have some knowledge with the business idea which you are coming with, and you must have some homework done in that idea. Now, you should be free from legal aspects, right? Okay. The final procedure for that would be submission of your application. We would be screening it internally, shortlisting of your application, and be intimating you regarding you are shortlisted or not. Then committee assessment is done related to your idea, and final selection is being intimated to the incubee in a fashion and then on board in the incubation program. So we would be working in that fashion. For any further queries, you can screenshot this slide and contact us here. An application form link is available in chat box. Please go through it, and good luck to every businessman and future businessmen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Deepa, for elaborating the MediHub activities and their process. Now, the session is now open for discussion. Any queries relating to any of the presentations, you may raise the questions by unmuting yourself, or you can write it on the chat box so we can take the questions and we can reply to the questions. Yeah. Kindly unmute yourself, Dr. Shubhashri, Madam. Dr. Kalaivanan. Yeah, this question is, yeah, please, Madam, go ahead.
Thank you for the informative session, sir. I cleared many of our doubts. And right now, I've been running an exclusive herbal plants nursery, and I have been reading a lot of articles regarding this soilless agriculture, and we have shortlisted some of the medicinal plants. In case of taking it as in a big way, like as a commercial cultivation, will there be any change in the rates of the prices of the plants if it is being grown in a soilless culture? Like, is there any price difference?
Can I answer? Can I answer,
Yeah,
sir?
yeah, Kalaivanan, go ahead with it.
Actually, madam, there is no difference with respect to the price. Either you grow in the open field or in the soilless culture or in the polyhouse, or so that way the produce, final produce wise, you are asking like organic and chemical based products. For that, some difference is there with respect to market price. But for here, one way you can get more profit by getting more biomass. So that way you can get more profit. That is the only advantage. Otherwise, the difference, there is no difference between conventionally cultivated crops and soilless cultivation, soilless method.
No, but you can highlight.
The active component will be the same, sir.
Yeah, yeah. No, that is that difference is there, madam. Only that is for industry. So after analyzing your produce, so you can request them. So my product is having this much active principle. That way you can demand them.
Okay.
So that is possible.
Hands-on training at Bangalore, sir. So
yeah, we are giving, madam. Every month we are organizing. Right now, mainly on vegetables, flowers, and to some extent medicinal crops. So that way we combine all three and we give training every month. And now because of the corona, we restrict only 20 participants per session. So otherwise we used to admit up to 100, 120. Beginning and all, more than 100 they participate. But now up to 20 only we are allowing, madam. So to maintain the social distance, yeah.
And regarding the process of aquaponics, sir,
yeah.
And hydroponics, like, will there be any issue regarding the pollination part of the plants, sir? Since it has been reared in a closed environment, will it affect the yield of the plants?
You are talking about medicinal crops or other crops, madam? Medicinal.
Any
crop. Okay, okay. Any crop. For that matter, whether hydroponics or polyhouse, if you grow in soil, the protect that structure is creating problem, not the substrate. So substrate wise, if you grow water or cocoa peat or perlite or unicorn, that won't make any difference on pollination. Because of the closed atmosphere or the structure, so the bees or other insects which are directly responsible for pollination, if it's not available inside polyhouse, then there is, this is a problem only with respect to cross-pollinated crops, not on the self-pollinated crops. Crops like tomato, chili, brinjal, they can grow very well in the inside polyhouse, and that too in the soilless culture. So that way you no need to worry. Even in the some of the crops like cucumber, zucchini, some of Parthenocarpi is also available varieties. So you have to select in such a way that you can avoid this problem.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Kalaivanan, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Can aloe vera be cultivated under soilless culture?
Yes, sir. It is possible because even dasamola and many crops, but the size of the bag should be bigger.
Okay. Okay.
So any crops are even nowadays in Bangalore and all papaya people are growing, banana they are growing, pomegranate they are growing. So the crop based on the root depth and the growth we have to select the bags. Sir. That's all.
Okay.
And the substrate volume also we have to select.
Hmm.
Any crops can be grown, no problem.
So,
Hello?
anyone, please raise your hand if you have any questions.
No,
Yeah,
can
please,
I?
Naidu, go ahead, sir.
You had one of your slides. You said that RO wastewater can be used.
Yeah, that is for terrace gardening, sir. For how, because that is not for commercially we are advocating. Yeah, because many people they are not getting the required solutions and nutrient. So that way, I tell them that you use the and that too after analyzing the easy of that water.
Exactly.
So yeah,
The salt content will be more.
Yeah, that's why whenever we give training, we'll tell them. But one can use it. Suppose the easy is up to the recommended level, or otherwise they have to dilute water. Then they have to, like that. Definitely, it is having a lot of nutrient, but they have to take care on EC value, and if possible, they can do the nutrient content of the water also. But most of the time, it is not possible for housewomen or other because EC is possible nowadays. The portable type EC meter is available. They can buy it and use it.
Yeah, but in the houses, that much quantity will not be generated, no?
No, sir. They can generate. Who said, sir? Nowadays, the wastage is more than the pure water, sir.
No, I know that because we do install these plants.
Yeah, correct, sir. Correct.
Wherever I'm working, we install these RO plants. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, correct, sir. Correct.
That is there. But I'm talking of household.
Yeah, household.
Household, it may not generate that much quantity to.
No, this is alternate, sir. This is not the only option. This is if they are not getting, if suppose some people are growing in by mixing 3-4 organic inputs, some problem in the nutrients, so that they can avoid that problem. So that way, this is one of the alternate to start and to continue. Sir.
Then the hydroponics, can we grow these plants which are tuberous, for tubers?
No, sir. Again, the size is important because in most of the hydroponic technique, you know very well, and you are already involving in this. So the NFT or any hydroponic techniques, only the PVC pipe size, you know how much.
Yeah,
So
that is a limitation.
Yeah, that is a limitation. If they customize it according to the crop, it is possible, sir. And again, in the closed environment, in the pipe inside, but I feel for that, the aeroponics or otherwise substrate-based culture is the best, sir, instead of hydroponics.
And another thing is, you said that you have standardized solutions, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Is it available to public?
Yeah, actually, we submit last August, we released as a technology through our variety and technology identification committee, and we have submitted to the government, sir. We are waiting for their approval. Then, but in a small scale, if they come to the office, they can get it, sir. But we are waiting for that approval. Once after getting that, then we will commercialize by giving the license.
Another one which I wanted to know is this cordyceps mushrooms, whether that is treated as a medicinal plant or a nutraceutical.
That I am not competent person, sir. But you tell me, I will definitely ask my expert here in IHR. We have
whether it can be grown under these hydroponic systems.
No, hydroponics mushrooms cannot be grown, but in substrate-based culture it is possible, sir. That we standardized even for oyster mushroom, and even that we standardized at IHR using this cocoa peat by mixing with soil, and that we did. But this particular mushroom, I don't know, sir. I will note down it and I will discuss. You note down my number, sir, so that later also you can contact me.
Kindly.
Yeah, I will definitely help you, sir, to identify whether what is that.
What's the number, please?
So, 99, yeah.
99
866 37 407, sir.
Another request is whether you can share your presentations with us.
Yeah, that mail ID you sent to me, this number, sir, I will send it to you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
So, any other questions anybody is having? No. So, can ashwagandha be grown under this one, hydroponic system?
That is what I asked.
No, hydroponics is not possible. Hydroponics, that's why that they have to, and even because for that a lot of oxygen is required, aeration, particularly root crops. But in aeroponics, we now standardizing the for gladiolus and tubers and all to get more like potatoes. So that we are trying it. But this one, ashwagandha and other things, we did by using bigger size, almost 2 feet height bag and 2 feet width bag. So that kind of grow bags we used it and we did it. And even one advantage with substrate, because whenever the roots are coming, that you can cut it, the plant, we can keep it, sir. Again, after some time, next root we get. So that way it is one of the beautiful technologies, sir. But in soil, it is not possible. So that is possible. But if you use bigger size, 2 feet size, you can do it by filling the coco peat and required thing. Definitely you can get it. And we did it with the 10 the perennial type of medicinal crops. And even that video we did that in YouTube also, I think it may be available. I will see it.
Okay, anybody is interested to set up any of soilless cultures, please do contact us, and we can invite Dr. Kalaivanan to be a part of the expert committee so that we can advise you on setting out the things. Anybody has any questions relating to MediHub also, please welcome. And we have already started, and we are catering to the need of startups and business development in India. So anybody has any questions, please unmute yourself and rise. We can discuss some more questions.
Sir, one more. So suppose we have a lot of polygons in the country, sir.
Yeah.
So what is happening in the polygons? They are doing cultivation in soil, but because of the continuous application of fertilizers and other chemicals, the soil is getting spoiled immediately within 3-4 years.
Sure.
Because of that, a lot of EC buildup and other things are happening. After some time, the plants even they cannot be able to use that land. So wherever that kind of polygons are available, if they are not able to cultivate because of the higher EC, there that land and polygons can be used for this purpose, soilless culture. So that they can think of it by keeping bags or by keeping droves or that by keeping other. So that way, because we need land here, not the soil. So that way, because I recommended like that for 2-3 people here, and even now people started. One engineer, he started for cultivation of pollock for 2 acres in that kind of polygons, and now he is every day is supplying 100 kg to the markets, only on soilless culture, only that to pollock. So that way is possible. So that way, no need to waste the polygons or that land.
And is there any alternative for coco peat?
Yeah, that I have given a lot of list because, but one thing, sir, coco peat is the most ideal substrate. It is the only substrate which is fulfilling all the functions, whatever I listed in the slide. So, but other substrate, they have to mix it with this, or otherwise, even if you are using for other substrate, you have to either use 2 substrate or 3 substrate to mix it in volume wise 1:1:1. Because, for example, sand alone we cannot use it. The sand can provide support, sand can provide aeration, but it cannot act as a good nutrient reservoir. It cannot act as a good water holding holder. So that way, that function, if they see it, and then they can easily call out the substrate, then which is best for what aspect. That way they can mix it. So otherwise, for example, coco peat, vermicompost, even nowadays that rice husk is available, and then groundnut shell is available. So even rice straw is available. So like that, even wheat straw. These are possible, sir. That more research is required, but it is by mixing it in a proper ratio, it is possible.
What is the shelf life of coco peat?
Sir, actually here there is no like shelf life, but I started experiment on during 2015. But even now also I am using the same substrate in the sense the quantity wise that is reduced, but that for that I used to top up it, sir, with additional coco peat. That's all. But I am not throwing even 1 gram of coco peat to outside, sir.
So same coco peat can be reused.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In reused. By mix, yes.
Most of the people will have the question: how economically is growing medicinal plants in soilless or hydroponics or aeroponic systems of cultivation? So
yes, sir. It is like soil only, sir. How economically in soil? Similarly, here also in the beginning we have to invest, sir. Like bags or dwarf or other things, cocoa peat and other things. But if you see the longevity or lifespan of that bags or dwarf or media, then it is really economic because we worked out for all the vegetables and even we've worked, and moreover one can get good biomass, and that too in the early stage itself they can get the biomass and they can send to the market. So that way, if they do it properly, it is economical only, no doubts on that.
Lot of herbs are directly consumed. Such herbs can be cultivated in the gardens.
Exactly, sir. You are correct,
Gardens,
sir. You are correct.
gardens,
That is,
for example,
yes, sir.
basil, tulsi, even
Yes, sir.
aloe vera
Yes.
also they can
Yes,
grow
yes.
in soilless cultures.
Everyone should have in their terrace or balcony this kind of crops to maintain their health in a perfect way. So that is very much possible with cocoa peat, and that is why we have one model setup also in IHR. 80% vegetables, 10% flower crops, 10% medicinal crops, like that.
Okay.
In 1,200 square feet area, we established like that. And what are all the top 10 medicinal crops we grow there, and it is more than sufficient. And that too because we no need to spray anything on the plants, and that way it is safe for consumption. No pesticide residues, no soil contaminants, and including the whole root also one can use it, sir, if they grow it in organic way by mixing all that. Otherwise, they can use the above ground biomass. Really, the freshly consumed medicinal crops are more suitable, and everyone should have in their terrace. It is happening in Bangalore because we visited so many houses and everyone is keeping, sir.
Okay. So any other question? Anybody has any questions? Yeah, madam, go ahead with that. Yeah, please unmute yourself and go ahead, madam. Shubhashri, madam, go ahead. Yeah. I think there is a, yeah.
Sir, I have a fundamental doubt.
Yeah.
Like we have been learned that from our early days, soil is the main ingredient. Like it's a prime ingredient for each and every crop. If there is an active component, like not all the crops can be grown in all the parts of the country. For like.
Yes.
So there should be some specific ingredient in that particular terrain, which gives the unique character for that particular crop.
Yes,
So, if we apply the same kind of fertilizer application like a standard NPK and micronutrients for all the greens we are using in the soilless thing. Will it give the so it seems that soil is it doesn't matter. Soil is not main ingredient. Like it's quite contrasting.
Yeah, I got your point, madam. Really, this is a very good question, I can say, because one difference between soil and soilless, and no doubt, madam, you are very correct that the soil is the most suitable growing medium in the earth. There is no doubt on that, and no substrate can beat the soil if the soil is good. I'm telling you only because if the soil is good, soil is the best. If the soil is not good, then we have to find out the alternate substrate. So that's why I have given the reason why we are switching over to soilless culture. So that is one. Another thing you were mentioning, you are coming to mention that the major difference between soil and soilless, the bioecology is missing in soilless. So that is where that more research are required, and because that is where the soil is still dominating. Really, it is not at all possible to fulfill or to meet out like soil, because soil, in 1 gram of soil you can count 40 billions of microbes, 40 billions. So imagine how 40 billions, the world population itself is 8 billion plus, but 40 billion microbes in 1 gram of soil. So that means in 1 hectare, nearly 2 lakh kg of soils are there. That means how many billions of soil microbes in 1 hectare of area. So that way, it is impossible to what is that we make synonymous to soil. It is really impossible. And of course, as you said that some of the characters are specific to certain region, mainly because of the climate and because of the rainfall of that region, and then soil characters. That is why even in soil cultivation also, we have GI, that is geographical indicators. See, for example, in Udupi, Matukula is very popular, the brinjal, that is under GI. The same brinjal, if you grow near Mangalore, you cannot get the taste. But even in the soil also. But within that 2 rivers, in between, there is 200 acres of land. In that area only, that crop can be grown and they can get that taste. So that is really specific to the region and specific to the soil and specific to the climate. So that even in soil also, the same we cannot replicate in another place. It is difficult.
So will that affect my active component if I take it for a commercial cultivation?
Yeah.
For example, if I want to do Bacopa moneri here in soil, will that affect my active component?
No, that's why that depends on, because you are not going to aim all the active components. Of course, some components may be higher in this method, some may be higher in that soil. That exactly in which crop, which active component, that we have to grow it and study it and test it, and then we can have that answer for that, madam.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
So anybody has any question, please? Anything? So if no more questions, thank you, Kalaivanan sir, for accepting my invitation in a short notice, which you made it possible today. And thank you for interacting with you. Dr. Sir, Roy sir is there? Satyajit Roy, sir, you want to comment? Satyajit Roy, okay. Okay, sir might not be there. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, thank you very much, sir. And I welcome all of you to look into the MediHub Technology Business Incubation Program. And under this banner only, we are organizing such kind of programs, so which we are connecting to you. And so any ideas, anything, if you want to start in the in this hydroponics aspects also, you can incubate your ideas in our place. So we can give an expert guidance, as well as facilitate in preparation of business plans, as well as marketing strategies for your business ideas. So with this, I thank profusely my director, Dr. Satyajit Roy, who has kind enough for giving his introductory remarks, as well as kind enough to give permission to organize this panel discussion. I thank Dr. Kalaivanan sir, who has kind enough to be part of this one and who has made so many doubts of ours, made it clear, and hopefully people will be working on these aspects. Thank you very much, sir. And I thank Dr. Deepa Patel, who has kindly delivered a lecture on MediHub incubation programs and incubation support for startups and other things. So whole lot this session was went well, and we could learn that certain basic things, that what are the medicinal plants that we can grow in soilless systems, and what cannot be grown, and what are the medias that we need to use, and cost economics also, some portions we have touched in. Still a lot of research is needed. As such, in medicinal plants, very minuscule research has been done. So for example, if I can say, for example, if I grow, see, like doubts, they have questions they have asked, that how the soil and the soilless cultures will affect on the active principle content, because active principle is the prima facie of medicinal plants. So because medicinal activities depends on the active principle content. So what is the effect of these soilless cultures on active principle content needs to be worked out. And what are all the crops can be possible, shortlisted. See, only very few crops have been shortlisted. There are n number of medicinal plants which are still sourced from a forest. So such plants can be tried in soilless cultures or brought into cultivation under soilless cultures. So there is a lot of scope for medicinal plants to play an important role in their catering the businesses through soilless cultures and other things. Hope if anybody is interested, please fill in the form. We have already posted in the chat box. So you can just, or else if you are not getting it, please send a mail to me. We will send you and you join the program. And our programs are very nominal cost only. We will not be charging hefty, but lot of activity that refining your ideas and pitching your ideas to the right market will be made possible with the incubation support we are having it. So with this this one, I thank everybody for active participation. Thank you one and all. And I'm putting this video in the YouTube. So anybody, there is a MediHub YouTube channel is available. You can go through this, and you can really, if you have any doubts, please come to me, come to us. Likewise, this is every fortnightly we will be organizing one or the other topics. The next fortnight, next event also we will be planning, and we will be communicating to you. So thank you for being part of this program. Thank you one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me an opportunity.
Yeah, any informal discussion we can make. I'll stop recording now.